Welcome back to World-Beater Wrestling. Today I'm talking all about character arcs, exactly what they are and why it's such an important concept to get your head around, particularly if you want to keep yourself relevant within pro wrestling. I'm also going to talk a little bit about what to do if the promotion you're working for isn't giving you enough opportunity when it comes to displaying or evolving your character. As pro wrestlers, one of our biggest goals is generally staying relevant, avoiding becoming stale, ensuring that the crowd are invested and engaged in your journey and want to see you month after month and follow your character every step of the way. Now, how do we do this? One of the best ways is through a character arc. That's an evolution or change in motivation, skills, personal values, and goals. Now, if we think about it, this is not just a pro wrestling thing. We see it in our favorite TV shows and characters. We see it in movies. We see it in our sports stars. We see it in our personal life. Things happen. We mature. Life events happen. We're forced to adapt, whether positively or negatively, and this changes who we are, maybe subtly, maybe in a major way. Now, pro wrestling is very similar, but in pro wrestling, we often see it within long-term storytelling. For example, a booker might tell you that in the next 6 months to a year, we want you in this storyline. We want you to really sink your teeth in and start to show a bit of progression in who you are. Maybe you'll start to show a harder edge, a bit more resilience, a little bit more aggressive in the way you act as you try to reach that long-term goal. Or maybe as the babyface, as the hero, you start to take a few shortcuts and you slowly become the villain. There's a million different ways to bake a cake, and there's a whole bunch of different ways that you can create a character arc. What's happened to you and your character in your career, and how should that change who you are? How should that change your values? How should it change the way you go about things? How should it change your motivations? Have your goals shifted as a result of success or failure in pro wrestling? Now, you may be hearing this and thinking, well, that's all well and good, but I'm not really being given those big opportunities, those long-term storylines to show that change in character. And I completely understand, because for many of you, that's going to be the case. You may just be a rotation player at this point in time. Firstly, a character arc does not have to be anything overly major. It doesn't have to be a complete change of character. It doesn't even have to be a complete switch from heel to face or vice versa. If you're not really being given any opportunities, how would your character respond? If you're being booked once in every 4 events, what would your character do about it? Would you become frustrated? Would you become angry? Would you become jaded? Would you lose your spirit? Would you lose your smile? What would happen to you and your character? That right there is a character change. Would your goals now shift from someone who just wanted to be there, was just happy to be a wrestler, but now you're determined to prove exactly who you are and that you deserve to be on every single event, you deserve to be climbing the ranks. All you need is that one more opportunity. Think about it from your own lens. And if you don't have a platform to show it, well, there's this amazing free new tool called social media that you can definitely use. Film promos, write things on Twitter, write things on Facebook, try to engage whatever kind of fan base you have in this story that you're trying to tell. Now, if you're worried about offending the bookers or going into business for yourself, absolutely legitimate claim, check it off with them. But what I've found, as someone who in the past was involved in many booking teams and had my role in writing shows and storylines and so on, I never saw it as a negative if someone tried to create some kind of interest around who they are. If I didn't really have any time for them, if they didn't fill those top main roles on the shows that I was writing, but they could still create some kind of interest on their own platform in their own time, that's fantastic, because now when we use them for a rotation role, they're going to bring a little bit of interest to the match. And often what I also found was that that would actually spark a bit of creativity within myself. If I didn't have anything for this person, but they started to tell a little bit of a story, not only did it show me that I could trust them with a major storyline, but it started to make me think, yeah, I like what they're doing. It's catching on. It's really cool. We can progress from that. We can build on that. We can turn this from something small and minor and subtle that they're doing on social media to something major that can now appear on live events. Don't be afraid to throw things at the wall and see if they stick. For every 5 failed ideas you may have, there could be one that catches on, and that could be the one that takes you to the next level. If we continually evolve, we keep things fresh, and we open potentially new and greater opportunities for bookers to take advantage of. At the very least, just always keep it in the back of your mind. Always entertain the thought of how could your character potentially change? How would your character respond to the certain career events that have happened up until this point? It could be as subtle as a slight shift in motivation. It could be as major as a complete overhaul of who you are as a character. Always keep these ideas flowing and keep yourself a versatile wrestler who can stay relevant for longer periods. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. As always, if you have any opinions or comments on the matter, potentially some wrestlers you've enjoyed who have showed great character arcs, or maybe even ways that you've done it yourself, please drop it in the comments box below. Of course, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. It all helps the algorithm, and I will see you next Thursday for another episode of World-Beater Wrestling. Cheers.
If you want to see more videos like this, click on the subscribe button, spread the word, and if you have any questions or requests for World-Beater Wrestling, don't be afraid to comment below.